I could use a lot of words to describe this episode of RWBY, but I think that I could just sum it up in pretty much one phrase. Boy, isn't that frickin' convenient. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. Jake of the OneManBand is back again, and welcome back to another RWBY episodic review. This time, we're taking a look at Volume 4, Episode 11, Taking Control. And, well, to be honest, I don't like this episode. There were a lot of things in this episode that just didn't sit well with me. But, let's just talk about the episode itself and look at its good points. Now, we start the episode back up by seeing what the villains are up to. And, you know, I had almost forgotten that they actually had a plot line in this volume. It's been so long since we've actually seen them. Now, Cinder is killing off some Grimm, using them as pretty much cannon fodder to heighten her powers and pretty much get back into the groove of things. But as we can tell, she isn't in her full power yet. She isn't quite there. She seems exhausted and seems to be exerting a lot of energy to do whatever strikes that she does. Now, obviously, these Grimm aren't under her control like the Grimm Dragon from Volume 3. And that's why I believe maybe she doesn't have the anklet that she had back then, or Salem's just there and her rule overrules Cinder's. Although in a weakened state, Cinder is still very powerful. She's able to slice some Grimm fully in half with just a fire blast, and is able to disintegrate one of the Grimm gorillas. I can't remember their names, but she's able to disintegrate it when it's mere inches away from her. If that doesn't scream power, I don't know what does. But using these attacks seem to just completely drain Cinder of all energy. When she collapses to the ground, Salem arrives and asks her, "I thought you were the girl that wanted power." And so this brings up a lot of questions. We do know that Cinder wanted power. Back in Volume 3, during the flashback episode, at the very beginning, she said, you know, she wanted power, she wanted to be feared, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, she went to Salem for this power, for this help. So, why is she holding back? Salem tells Cinder to stop holding back. If you want power, if you want to be the most powerful person you can be, and if you want to be feared, you cannot hold back. So why are you? That's the big question with Cinder right now. Why is she holding back? Why is she so just reserved? I mean, the Cinder of Volume 4 is so much different from the Cinder Volumes 2 and 3 that you would think that they were completely different people. Now, it's my opinion that what happened between Cinder and RWBY at the top of Beacon Tower was so traumatic to Cinder that she's completely flabbergasted. She barely even knows what she wants anymore. She has witnessed a power that supersedes the powers that she has, and that probably frightens the hell out of her. And she knows that if she finally gets to the point of being ready again, she'll have to go back out there and face RWBY again. So that's pretty scary. I mean, we don't know what RWBY did at the top of Beacon Tower, but we know that it left Cinder in that injured state, and it froze the Grimm Dragon. So we know that it was big, and we know that it was rather frightening. It's also key to pick up that Salem states that Cinder hasn't mastered her new powers yet. So even though Cinder is very skilled in using her powers, she hasn't mastered them yet. She hasn't gained full control and gained the full ability and, you know, potential to use these powers. But before we can get into more detail, Tyrion finally arrives back at the Grimmscape and Salem's castle. I'm not even gonna mention or wonder how he got there so fast. Not gonna mention that right now. I'm just gonna move on because he's just there. So he's just there. He arrives back, once again babbling to himself that she'll forgive him and it will be okay. Once again reassuring himself because he's a very broken, very, a broken man. He needs someone's encouragement and someone's love to feel like he is, worth something. Now, although Tyrion has failed to get Ruby, he does say that there's hope, that he has pretty much taken Crow out of the picture by stinging him. Now, I know what you're all thinking. This is like just screaming out to the audiences, screaming out to everyone that, oh, well, Crow's gonna die. Tyrion has pretty much said it, but I think that there's gonna be some sort of magic MacGuffin that's gonna get Crow out of this, because just killing Crow off this early in the story it just seems like a waste when he has so much potential. But hey, the writers know where they're going, and I just hope that they don't kill Crow, because secretly we all want Crow to live. Now, Crow has been a thorn in Salem's side for a very, very long time, so Tyrion thinks that taking him out of the picture will make up for his failure of acquiring Ruby. And Salem responds with, "The last eye has been blinded." Now, this can mean many a great things. Now, a lot of people believe that the last eye has been blinded is sort of like a callback to Odin, the Norse, head of the Norse god pantheon. He had ravens and crows around the world that were kind of his eyes in the mortal realm. They would watch over things and then report back to him with news. So, in a way, Crow is those crows, if you will, and Odin is Ozpin. So it could be a reference to that. I personally believe that it's sort of a callback to that, because Crow very much was Ozpin's right hand, was Ozpin's agent. He would go out into the world, observe things, and then report back to Ozpin, because Ozpin was busy taking care of things at Beacon Academy. But there's also another thing that people have come up, and I have to thank Aaron for bringing this up to me. So, the symbols that Crow and Raven have are eerily similar, but they're mirrored. So a lot of people have come up with the idea that, oh, if you put them together, they're eyes. They're the mirrored eyes from the song Sacrifice. So is it possible that both Raven and Crow are sort of the eyes of Ozpin, or at least were up till a point until Raven went total bandit? I mean, it could be that, and that could be, that very much well could be, because Salem refers to Crow as the last eye. There isn't any more eyes, at least anymore. But even though this news is somewhat good, Salem is still disappointed in Tyrion. And this is the one thing Tyrion did not want. He did not want to, let down his lady. He didn't want to disappoint her, and that is exactly what happened to him. Now, I believe that this is just going to cause him to be even more crazy next time our heroes come up against him, but he is able to take out his frustration on a nearby Grimm. And this whole scene, although it is crazy, I think that this scene with Tyrion is masterfully made. We get to see just how deep Tyrion's insanity goes. And I just think that the voice acting that goes into it is very, very good. We get him from bawling to straight out laughing maniacally. I mean, it's like a Joker moment. Almost. And just by the way he's brutalizing this Grimm, it's like you can feel the Grimm's pain. And you're kind of taken aback like Cinder is in this scene. Cinder, looking at this, is just like, this guy's freaking crazy. And a lot of people are thinking, oh, she's having second thoughts. She's having second thoughts. She's not going to be a villain anymore. And to be honest, although it kind of looks that way, I don't want it to happen. As much as Cinder can be a sympathetic character, if you will, she is a villain that actually succeeded. She won. She did the thing she wanted to do. So why would she go over to the good side? It just seems like it would be a waste of a good villain if she did. So I'm hoping that she stays a villain. Maybe not in league with Salem at the end, but still a villain. We then transition over to Yang. We see that she is painting her new metal arm and putting some probably finishing touches, some touch up on Ember Celica. Now, now remember, she only has the one Ember Celica gauntlet left. The other one was left at the at Beacon Academy, if not destroyed by Adam. Now, could she make another one? Yes, very much so. But I believe that her new robotic arm will kind of make up for the loss of the one Ember Celica. So maybe like it's going to have like a shotgun inside of it. Maybe it's just going to be super powered. I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait to see how she actually fights some bad guys to see how it actually plays out. Now, something I didn't really understand, how did she get that precise of painting with spray paint? Magic? Dust? Dust magic. Dust magic paint. After reattaching her arm, Yang goes over to the shed and she reveals that her motorbike, Bumblebee, has been waiting there all this time for her to take and go out on the road again. A lot of people seeing this have been like, oh, Bumblebee ship confirmed, Bumblebee ship confirmed, when it's like, no, not really. She's just has her motorcycle that's named Bumblebee in honor of the ship, because the RWBY creators were like, yeah, Bumblebee, it's a funny name, and it actually, the bike is yellow and black, a lot like the Transformer Bumblebee, so let's just give it a name to honor the fans. That's what it was. It was an honorary naming because of the fans. Do I think that it's a confirmation of the ship? And although a lot of people are saying that certain things in this episode confirm Bumblebee ship, I personally don't think so. If you think so, good for you. But I just don't think it's gonna actually play out to be a thing. Now, Tai Yang catches up with his daughter, saying that, well, he never said that she could really leave. He never said that she was ready. But she's like, well, you can't stop me, old man. And he's just like, yeah, I'm way too sore. Which is obviously him just saying, look, you've gotten better, and I can't stop you from going out. But this is where the big question comes up, is where is she going? We know that she knows where RWBY is. RWBY is on the continent of Anima heading to Mistral. And we also know, we learned from Tai, that Crow has told Yang where Raven is. So Yang is very much well left with a choice. She can either go see her mom or go to RWBY. Now, that question is kind of up in the air, but let it be known, both are on the continent of Anima, and both are relatively close to Mistral. Convenience! In the end, I think that Yang is gonna go see RWBY, because if Yang went to see her mom, I just feel like it would be a betrayal to RWBY herself. I mean, RWBY has been there for you all your life. She's been there. She's been your teammate. She's been your sister. She's been your leader. And after everything you've gone through, don't you want to go and see if she's okay and maybe apologize for, the way that you acted beforehand? But no, you just throw that out the window and go see your mom, who hasn't given two shits about you? It just seems like it would be a betrayal to RWBY for Yang to do that. But we'll just have to wait and see. Next, we transition to Weiss, and we see that she's finally making her escape from the Schnee mansion with the help of Klein. And there's like a good 30 seconds of them just walking through the halls of the manor, and I'm just like, why? That isn't really needed there. We already know that there's a lot of halls, and most of these halls we've already been in previous episodes, so why did we have to have 30 straight seconds of it? I'm not sure. It just seems like it was just filler for the episode, if you will. Now, Klein is called away for a moment to go help Whitley with something stupid or something, and he tells Weiss to meet him in the downstairs library. And on her way there, she passes by her father's office, and she hears that Ironwood and Papa Schnee are having a very heated discussion, if you will. During this discussion, we hear that Winter, according to Papa Schnee, is the daughter that Ironwood stole, which, you know, is totally not right at all, because Winter joined the Huntsman Academy and thus the Elysian military and became one of Ironwood's best agents. I still don't understand why Papa Schnee is so angered about that. I mean, he obviously doesn't have a lot of faith in Ironwood, but still, your daughter is a successful agent of the military. Isn't that something to be proud of? Ironwood is stating that Winter has given him information that Mistral is getting ready for something big. He talks about how weapons and dust trade is on an all-time high and people are mobilizing. Now, even though he's gotten this information straight from one of his best agents, Papa Schnee thinks that Ironwood is overreacting and he's crazy. Now, I think Papa Schnee is the crazy one for not taking this freaking seriously. Did you not know that Beacon Academy fell? Things are very tense at the moment. We cannot take chances, my good sir. Ironwood states that with everything going on in Mistral, he doesn't think Leo can handle it. Now, I believe that he's referring to the headmaster of Haven Academy, and Leo is pretty much a confirmation that he's based off the Cowardly Lion. So, we finally got that cleared up, and I'm so happy. I mean, maybe he's like a lion faunus, and he's like leader of Haven Academy. That would be so freaking awesome. So, due to all these developments going on in Mistral, Ironwood states that within like a week, Atlas will be closing its borders. Nothing in, nothing out. They're pretty much going to become isolationists and ride out the storm. Ironwood is doing this to protect the Atlesian people, even though most of them probably don't deserve it. He knows that most of them don't know what's going on in the world. And if Ozpin had listened to him, he would have been able to save more people. Now, Ironwood, he is very much a person that wants to protect everyone, and he feels inclined to. So, when he isn't in control of a situation, he feels helpless. So he's taking control of the Atlesian situation by closing off its borders, and nobody gets in or out without his consent. That's what he wants. That's what he needs. He needs to have a place of control so he can control it and keep people safe. So in a way, Ironwood pretty much puts Papa Schnee in his place. So I'm happy for that. And a lot of people are wondering, why does Weiss like lock the door when Ironwood tries to escape? I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, well, if Ironwood saw her, you know, he'd help her. He'd, like, take her out of there and, you know, take her to Atlas Academy. But you see, that's not where Weiss wants to go. If Ironwood would have gotten out, one of two things would have happened. One, she would have pleaded to Ironwood about her case, he would have taken her under his wing and taken her to Atlas Academy. Two, he would have turned her over to her father and she would have been trapped at Schnee Manor forever. What she needed to do was have none of them see her so that she could finally get away. Because later on, as we learn, when she gets to the library and Klein opens up the secret escape Batcave door, I mean, that's pretty crazy that do all manors just have escape doors in the library or something like that? I mean, I guess. But anyway, we learn that Weiss wants to meet up with Winter in Mistral. Once again, we have a member of Team RWBY going to Mistral. Convenience! We now transition to Blake. Now, we see that Sun is lying on the couch recovering, and he is not dead, thank God! I never believed he was gonna die in the first place, but for all those who are wishing Sun to be dead, well, just shame on you. You wish somebody dead, and that isn't cool. As Sun wakes up, Blake doesn't greet him with a good morning, a hello, or are you alright? She straight up is just like, listen to me, I'm gonna lay down the law, and I'm gonna tell you what. She's just like, this is why she left Team RWBY behind. is because she didn't want them to get hurt. Completely understandable. She states that she doesn't like being alone, and whenever Sun tries to talk to her, she tells him to shut up. And for honestly, I can understand why she said that, but it's just so mean-spirited the way that she does, when it's just like, this guy nearly died for you. Have a little bit of sympathy. And she's just saying that she doesn't like being alone, but if she isn't alone, then this is gonna happen to the people she cares about, and she's like, no one can help me, blah, 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 saying all this stuff, and I'm, like, this whole time I was just like, yep, keep saying that, because I know this, yes, get it out there. For as much as I was just a little bit mad at Blake at this moment for just, laying it into Sun like that, she was at least finally explaining why she was acting the way that she was. Although a majority of us already knew why she was acting that way. She's finally talking. And although it isn't exactly the way I want her to talk, it is a step in the right direction. So as much as I just didn't like Blake doing this, I still kind of liked it. For her character's sake. Now, once she's finally said her piece, she's just like, no, I'm not gonna allow anyone to help me anymore. No one's gonna help me anymore. No one's gonna be with me anymore. I'm just going to be a solitary person all the time. Sun is able to have his say, and he's just like, you think you're being selfless, but you're actually being selfish. Now, it may just be me, because he's voiced by Michael Jones, but I have expected him, instead of saying the whole, you think you're being selfless thing, I expected him to just say, that's bullshit. I was really expecting him to say that, and I think that would have been, like, although it'd be like, whoa, dropping down big swear words in RWBY, I think it would have, like, gotten, the same point across, if you will. Sun pretty much goes on to say that the reason why her friends do this for her is because that they love her. It's because they care about her. Sun and Yang have both been hurt trying to help Blake. But they would do it all over again because they're friends. Because they care for one another. And that's the one thing that Blake, I think, one, either never understood, or two, was never given the chance to understand due to her situation. She was always a member of the White Fang, and during that, it was always the mission, the revolution, all that. There wasn't any mutual care for one another. And when she sees that now in, with her friends, she feels like she's being a burden to them. When really, that's what friends do. A friend will take a bullet for you. A friend will give you the jacket from off their back to keep you warm. That's what friends do, Blake. And this is the one thing that Blake never fully understood, and probably understands now, is that she can't control what other people do. They're gonna do whatever they want to do. For the longest time, throughout this entire episode, and throughout this entire volume, she wanted Sun to pretty much go away and not help her. But she didn't really understand. She can't control his actions. She can't control what he does. He has his own free will. And then Sun finally says the thing that I've been saying for so long, and I've wanted somebody to tell Blake for a long time. Stop pushing people out. That hurts more than anything the bad guys can do. And I was just like, yes, Sun! Preach! Preach! I nearly took out my lighter and was just like, yeah, sing it, Sun! Praise it! Preach it, man! Because it's just like, that's what Blake needed to hear, is that people care for her. And she can't just push people out all the time. If she does, then she's never going to have anyone there for her. And it's like, she just said she doesn't like being alone, but she purposefully makes herself alone so that she won't hurt people. When it's like, pushing people away is hurting them even more than them actually getting hurt by anyone who's gonna come after you. This is what needed to be said to Blake. This is what Blake needed to understand. And judging by how Blake reacts, I think that she finally understands that now, or at least is starting to. Because just like Sun would, after he does this entire thing, says this entire big, heartfelt, emotional thing. He ends it with a joke. And I love that. That is Sun's character. Although he can be serious at some points, he always ends it with a joke to make people laugh and make people know, hey, we're cool. Even though I just got through just doing all this stuff, we're still cool. We're still friends. I made you laugh. And he makes Blake laugh, and I like that. And she actually calls Sun her hero, and I just think that that's so cute. So cute. And I know a lot of people are also saying, Black Sun confirmed! Black Sun confirmed! And it's just like, guys, just calm down. We don't need to talk about ships right now. Let's just enjoy the moment for what it is. And then we see that Kali and Gira were listening in. They fall through the wall the same way Sun did, breaking up a tender moment, adding some comedy to it. Well, Blake, better warm up that hand. You're gonna have to slap 2 people this time for interrupting your heartfelt talk with somebody you care about. I'm joking, by the way. This scene was made for comedic effect. That's it. It wasn't made to ostracize Sun and Blake. It wasn't made to ostracize Kali and Gira. It was just for comedic effect. Don't blow up about it. It's okay. It's okay. Gira just needed to find Blake to tell her something. Now, the scroll that Sun and Blake were able to recover during their fight with Ilya was Ilya's scroll, obviously, because Gira is able to find on the scroll a bunch of information about the White Fang, and that Adam Torres is looking to overthrow the current leader of the White Fang and attack Haven Academy. Well, just dropping that all in one sentence is very convenient. It's just like, lore dump, that's what's gonna be happening in the next volume. There you go. And I'm just like, really? You get all that and we just got it, you got that information off screen? Really? But I'll talk more about that later. Sun responds to this by saying, well, we have to destroy the White Fang, totally take it down. And Blake's like, no. We have to take back the White Fang! And it's just like that moment when you're just like, fulfillment of destiny! That's what she's going to do! Aided with her father, the former member of the White Fang, and her best friend Sun, she will take back the White Fang and make it what it's supposed to be. And I'm just like, this is sort of a fulfillment of Blake's destiny. What she's going to be doing right here is taking back the White Fang and making it back to what it's supposed to be. But once again, it's like the leader of the White Fang is in Mistral, and they're gonna have to go to Mistral to do this. Convenience! And of course, we have to end out this episode by seeing Team Ranger, Nora and Ren finally arrive at Kuroyuri to a flabbergasted Ruby and John. And they're just like, did you hear that? There's something out there. And we hear the Grimm start to approach. And as it approaches, Ren drops to his knees and is just completely frightened. And when we finally get a look at the creature, it's like we first see the horse head. And it's just like, okay, kind of scary, but then when we see like the human head, it just is like, the human head could have been a lot more creepier is what I'm saying. It just looks kind of derpy, really, to me. It just looks like dorky, like the sound that it makes is frightening, and it's like the twitching is scary. But it's like the head itself just doesn't look as menacing as it could have. And of course, we're left with a cliffhanger for the finale and the final battle with this Grimm. And thus ends episode 11, Taking Control. Alright, so now I'm going to be talking about all the things that I didn't like in this episode, so it's gonna get ranty, and if you guys don't want to hear it, I apologize. I mean, if you guys want to hear it and will actually hear me out, I'm hoping that I can at least convince you, some of you guys, that like, hey, some of this stuff is kind of bullcrap, and hopefully, you know, I don't step on too many toes. But once again, we have an episode where we have all 4 girls plus another freaking, you know, point of view. We have 5 points of view in this episode. And it's one of the shortest episodes of the volume. It's like 15, 16 minutes. That means like only 3 minutes or so are dedicated to each team and each character. I just feel that it's it's wrong to just take away so much time from these characters. And also, just the convenience of all of them gonna end up at Mistral. I thought that, at least in the next few volumes, they would slowly get back together. Maybe it would be Yang and Weiss getting back together at first, and maybe RWBY would still be with Ranger, and Blake would maybe team up with the rest of Team Sun, and it would be stuff like that. I think that would be really cool. But it's just, all this stuff is... It just screams convenience. It screams that, okay, we know what has to happen in Volume 5, so we need to set it up. So how about they're just all gonna go to Mistral? It just seems lazy, to be honest. And I wish they would have explained it more. Like the whole thing with Gira getting all the information off of the scroll about Adam Torres is going to, kill the leader of the White Fang and take over the White Fang and then attack Haven. It's like, that's just a lot of stuff to dump right there. It's like, have some mystery with it, man. Maybe, like, they don't have quite the code, but maybe, like, they have, like, well, there's some information on you. Maybe you get like some information of like some foul play in the White Fang that they need to get to the leader of the White Fang to talk about, and on the way they start to decode more and learn more about like what's gonna be happening, and they're just like, we gotta get there sooner because Adam's gonna be there and he's gonna take out CL Khan and he's gonna attack Haven. That would have been cooler. There would have been more mystery, and as it went on there would have been more drive to get to Mistral so fast. And with Weiss's story, it's just like, okay, yeah, she's running, she's escaping. We already knew that, and we wanted that. But it just seems very convenient that Winter just so happens to be in Mistral, and that's where Weiss is going. And it just seemed like it would have been a lot cooler if, like, instead she went to Vale or maybe Patch to try to find RWBY and Yang. And I don't know, that's just me. And then with the Yang story, the Yang point of view, I don't know if it's just me, but I've discussed it with my friends. Yang's story just feels the most rushed and the most pushed onto us. It's just like, Yang had PTSD. Yang was in a bad spot. Now she's better. Now she's going off into the world again. And it's like, we barely saw her get over what was troubling her. It's just like, she had a pep talk with her dad, she put on the arm, and she was fine. There was no, like, repressed freaking scares when she was practice fighting or anything like that. It just seemed like it was pushed on us, and just, like, we didn't deserve what Yang is doing right now. And once again, me talking about how if she goes see her mom over RWBY, it feels like it's gonna be a betrayal to RWBY. And then here's the next thing. Okay, the biggest thing. Ranger has pretty much used all of this volume trying to get to Mistral, when it's like in the next volume, the rest of the girls are gonna get to Mistral very, very fast. Because we're not going to have another journey volume. That would just be so boring. We'd be over it. We'd be done. It's like, we don't want to see the road anymore. We want to see the kingdom. And it's just going to be like, well, okay, Ranger took like 10 months to get to Mistral, but the rest of Team RWBY were able to get there in a few weeks? Or is there going to be another time skip? It's just convenient. And that's what this episode screams to me, is convenient. Not only is it cluttered and just all over the place with what it's doing, it just screams convenient that everyone's gonna end up at the same place at the same time to do the same thing. It just doesn't sit well with me. All I'm saying is that I sure do hope that the finale of this volume knocks it out of the park, and hopefully it saves this volume from being just totally convenient and being a cop-out. Now, for all those who are, plotting, planning, thinking, theorizing that there's actually going to be 14 episodes in this volume. There's going to be 14 episodes because there's no way they can wrap it up in just one episode. When if we look at this article that was put up about a week, maybe 10 days ago, it states that the current volume of RWBY, Volume 4, is going to end February 1st with the finale. So, February 1st is next week. So, it's going to end there. It's going to be the finale of Volume 4. And something else for all of you guys out there who are singing to the heavens that Ren's gonna die because we learned some backstory from him. Take a look at this tweet sent out by Neith the voice actor of Ren. He talks about how he looks forward to working with Rooster Teeth in the next volume and RWBY Chibi. So, well, the voice actor for the character says that he's going to be working on the next volume. I think that pretty much states that he's gonna live. So, until the finale, my friends, I'll see you then. Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, I hope you enjoyed this episode, this review. Be sure to like and favorite if you did, subscribe of course if you feel inclined to. Check out some other links down in the description taking you to social media pages, my Patreon, big thanks to all my Patreon sponsors by the way, and of course to some other videos that you guys might like. So, until next time, this has been Jake of the One Man Band, I'm signing out. I want you to be a good person, tip your waitresses, keep moving forward, and I'll see you guys next time.